Thanks for staying with us on Consider This. I'm Melisa Idris with Sharaad, Kuttan. Now, here's a story we'd like you to consider tonight. Recently, there was a Form 1 student who started a petition urging the Prime Minister to allow secondary school boys to grow out their hair. So 13-year-old Daryl James started a petition to address the issue of gender discrimination in his school. Sharaad.
Well, there's so many ways to look at this story. I love it because, we were talking about petitions the other day, Melissa, and petitions are part of the democratic dividend. I mean, in the sense that people feel a right to address government and say they have demands and remind government about principles like gender discrimination and make the argument to a public now eager to participate in the democratic process of governance. And so young Daryl, only 13, but, if the elections are held 5 years from now, he'll actually be voting.
Good.
And so I think he's a potential voter. And maybe because of that, this government will have to take his concerns seriously.
All right, okay. So now I guess, people wanting to participate, petitions, online petitions being a platform for them to do that. But really, the question about wanting to have longer hair, so essentially asking for the ability for secondary school boys to grow out their hair speaks to not more than just a democratic dividend, Sharaad, but really about ending the authoritarian culture in schools. Now, for me, I was considering this story, and I had I was two minds about it, essentially, because I think that, uniformity is part of a broader discipline culture, right? You're making rules for uniforms makes everyone equal, lessens the ability.
Well, it gives you the appearance of equality, and I think this is one of the problems with uniforms. Uniforms actually hide the inequalities between kids to some extent, but because you could have a better phone, or you could have a nicer watch, or you might be driven in a Mercedes-Benz to school, in which case everybody knows they're not equal with you, right? So equality is a funny thing. Uniformity, conformity, these, as you said, are the authoritarian values within schools, right? But I want to come back to what the young man said about gender equalities. Young women are allowed to grow out their hair. Why not boys? And that was his main argument. What do you make of that?
Well, okay, so I think that there are still rules for uniforms about girls' hairs in schools. I mean, I remember when I was in school, I wasn't allowed to have kind of crazy hairstyles or dye my hair pink as much as I wanted to when I was 14 years old. But, the idea that, I guess, rules are there for a reason, that there is a way, I guess, to instill discipline in young children. And I'm not sure that young Daryl will have a lot of supporters here. I'm not sure whether young parents would want that.
Yeah, well, parents might not want it, but interestingly enough, part of the petition calls for the decision about hair to be made by parents and children and not schools. It says, okay, don't have this on the rule books, but also let parents in a conversation with their children make that decision. I thought that was interesting because it's not saying kids can do whatever they like. It's saying, well, maybe, in a family situation, maybe Daryl comes from one of those families where he's consulted on major issues and his parents try to have a dialogue with him.
And also allowed some individuality in his expression of how he wants to wear his hair.
Absolutely. And I think when we come back to the question of what schools ought to do, enable creativity, give people the proper foundations in terms of their communicative and analytical skills. Why is hair important?
Well, Daryl says that hairstyles do not affect how a student does academically.
And that's absolutely correct. We know that, Melissa. Kids don't need short hair to perform well in exams or to be inventive or to be creative, as well as, having long hair doesn't make you, well, it might make you more cool, but it certainly doesn't make you more smart. And so, so I think there's a complex series of issues that we need to kind of discuss. And I'm very happy that Daryl James has decided to make this a conversation, national conversation.
Well, this has been the cause that he wants to champion. We want you to consider that tonight, the cause that Daryl James is championing, to have schoolboys now in charge of how they want to wear their hair.
Oh, along with their parents.
Along with their parents. All right.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have for you tonight. I'm Melisa Idris, with me Sharaad, Kuttan, and we will be back with you same time tomorrow night. Catch us then.